Hey everybody, Kyle Gahagan, ABS Journeyman Smith. Today we're going to be talking about tools as I promised you. As I started trying to figure out how to do this, I realized there's a lot more to the tools than I thought that we could fit into one video. So we're going to try to do multiple videos on tools. Starting out here, I'm going to walk you through my shop, show you what I have, give you some recommendations of what I think you need to start out with, and then we'll go into a little bit more depth as we film some more videos. So to start out, I'm going to walk you over here. You see, this is my forging area. This is where I do my forging work. I have 25-ton Tommy McNabb press. I've got the first anvil that I ever used. I have a big blue anvil and a hay boot anvil. Both of them are 275 to 300 pounds. This is my chili forge, oval forge, opening on both sides. I normally have a North Carolina forge, knife maker's forge sitting next to it. My apprentice is using that right now. He didn't have one, so I figured I'd let him use it. Walk over here. This is my even heat. I believe it's a 24-inch even heat for heat treating knives with my quench tank, which is basically square steel plate welded on the bottom and Parks 50 in it. Tire hammer by Clay Spencer. Walk into this room. This is my Wilmot triple arm grinder with the folding plate. Got a Kalamazoo grinder, Wilmot little buddy grinder that I use for demos, Wilton square wheel. I've got two disc grinders I use for handles, squaring up handle materials, cleaning up the sides, and I have a variable speed reversible disc grinder with the 1 degree angle for cleaning up my blades. Out here I have Harbor Freight metal cutting bandsaw, Delta wood cutting bandsaw. I've got to put the table back on. I took it off. Porta band with the little table on it set up in a vise. I use this for guards. I use that for guards and cutting out larger stock of Damascus. Got 3 small drill presses. I use these for my handles and guards, so on. I've got 3 so I don't have to change out drill bits. I've got a larger Delta back here I don't use very often anymore, but it's still there. This is my Grizzly lathe, my most recent acquisition. Harbor Freight milling machine, oven for tempering, and surface grinder. You look in the center area. This is my area that I do a lot of my rough fitting of the knives. Fit the guards, rough fit handles, glue up handles, so on. This is my rough fitting area. This is my finishing area. This is where I hand sand. I've got 3 hand sanding, actually 2 hand sanding stations, a hand sanding station for handles. Extra lighting. I've got my hand sanding tools. I've got a leg post vise, and then I've got 2 bench vises. So to get into depth, a little more depth on the tools, as I said, I prefer gas forge over coal forge. You can choose which one you want. I personally feel that gas has more benefits than coal. Coal looks pretty cool, cranking it and all that, but gas, you turn it on, it's hot, turn it off, it cools down, it's not a mess. You can do it indoor, outdoor. It's just a little more efficient in my personal opinion. What you want to look for when you're purchasing a forge is a forge that's large enough to work the material that you need. Whether you're making buoys, you can't work it in one of those small brick or soup can forges. You also want to look for something with some controllability, whether it be a forced induction forge with the fan or a Venturi style forge here with the little nozzle, and you can control the oxygen with the sleeves. You'll want to be able to control the heat by turning up or lowering the oxygen. You don't want to overheat your steel, you don't want to underheat your steel, so you want to be able to control it, get the correct temperature you want. That's what you want to look for. Anvils. As I said, this is my first anvil. The Hayboon was my second anvil, and I purchased this Big Blue recommendation from Jason Knight. Most anything can be used in an anvil. I see people with railroad tracks. This is an I-beam with some hard steel welded to it. I see other people using the ends of forklifts. Anything that's going to give you a hard backing for forging is going to work. When you get a little more advanced into it, what you're going to be wanting to look for is an anvil that's got some rebound, good weight, and a nice flat face. If you look at this, handle bounces up and down. You look at my old anvil, it just dies. It has no rebound. It took forever to forge something out on this. When I first got the Hayboon, it cut my time in half simply because the metal moved a lot faster. So, next thing we're going to look at, hammers. They're laid out here. I prefer a rounding hammer. You got a rounded face, flat face. This way you can move material, you can refine material. I've got 3 of them. 2 Big Blue, one's 3.5, one's 5, others 5. This one's from Cerigal Forge. Again, these are from Big Blue. My friend Liam Hoffman makes a nice hammer, which I've got his dog nose hammer here, which I use for refining my bevels. It's real good for that purpose. I've got a small Cerigal Forge peening hammer. I need to get a larger or a longer one, but it works for handles right now. When you're purchasing the hammer, some people go extremely large. I've seen some people go really small. What you're wanting to do is buy a hammer that is large enough to move some material, but light enough that you can swing it all day long. This 5-pound hammer, I can move this thing, but I'm not going to swing this thing all day long. I mean, I can, but my arm's going to be tired. This is a 3.5 pound. This is my primary forging hammer. I use this thing. I've forged 10, 12 hours with that. No issues. So you want to have a hammer that can move the metal efficiently, but also be light enough that you can swing it every day. Another hammer we want to look at. This is a flatting hammer. Basically, what I did is weld a piece of 1/2-inch bar to an old sledge. This is used when you're forging your material and it starts to bend, or you're able to put this on the material, get it along, flatten it out. So those are what you're going to want to look for. Tongs. Tongs are another personal preference. 2 I use most are this bar stock tongs that I got from a company in Asheville. And then this set of tongs, I think it's called Wolf Jaw tongs. Use this for when I'm working my hidden tangs. I'm able to grip the tang, work the blade. This is when I'm using bar stock, able to stick a piece of bar stock in there and hold it effectively. I've got other tongs that I use often as well. These duckbill tongs, good for odd shaped materials. You're going to find what tongs work best for you. You're going to find which ones don't work. Again, it's personal preference. When we go back to hammers, forgot this, sitting over there. When you're moving material, your knife starts warping up on you. instead of beating it back down with your hammer, you may want to take this piece of wood, tap it down. If you hit it with the hammer, you're going to mushroom up that spine or the edge, depending on what you hit. If you hit it with the wood, you're going to be able to bend it back to shape without issues of messing up the spine or the edge. Okay. Power hammer and the press, those are luxuries. They help things. You can do just about anything with your hammer and anvil that you can do with these. It's just going to take a bit longer. I've showed you my grinders. This is my primary grinder. The reason so is the versatility. It's got room for 3 different arms. Usually use 2 of them. I'm able to change out tooling arms, change out my platen, turn it sideways for different angles, so on. Variable speed is just a good grinder. Don't necessarily have to start out with a Wilmot or a T90, anything like that. I see a lot of people using the Kalamazoo like this. What I truthfully believe what you need to look for when you're purchasing a grinder is, 1, enough horsepower on the motor, because when you start trying to hog off material, if you're able to kill that motor, you're going to have issues. Second thing you want to look at is either variable speed or a pulley system in order to speed up or slow down that machine, because you're going to run the machine at a higher speed when grinding steel versus doing handle material or finish sanding a blade. So you want to be able to turn up and down the speed. The other thing, which is not a big a deal, but is very convenient, is the ability to change out tooling arms. With this, all you have is a flat platen, or others you may have just a wheel. This one, I'm able to stick in any tooling arm I want. I've got a slack belt, I've got a small wheel, I've got a flat platen, I've got a 10-inch wheel, I've got a 5-inch wheel, I've got a plunge machine here from Wilmot. Being able to change these things out definitely is a bonus. Disc grinder. Some people tell you it's not a necessity, some people tell you it is. This definitely helps, especially if you're cleaning up flats or your flat grinder. If you do hollow grinds, not as big a deal, but this definitely helps cut down your time when you're hand sanding your flats on if you're doing flat grinding. Bandsaw. You're going to need some sort of saw, whether it's going to be for cutting out handle material, cutting out guard material, cutting pin stock, so on. You can either choose this Harbor Freight. I think you can get it for about $199 or somewhere around there, 20% discount. I use that majority of the time. I've got this small bandsaw I use for guard materials. Truthfully, this thing costs just as much as that. It really depends on your space. If you don't have a lot of space, I would recommend getting a small portaband. You're going to need a drill press. I believe these are about $69 at Harbor Freight. You don't need to spend a lot of money on a drill press. We're not drilling through a whole lot. I mean, you're going to drill through handle material. You're going to drill through handles or the tangs. But you know, 69. These things have worked well for me. They've been here for years. So it's something you're going to have to look at. As I said, I've got my lathe. Not a necessity. It's a luxury I got for turning finials, turning guards. A good vise is going to be a necessity. I suggest getting a leg vise. You can pick these things up on eBay, or you can pick them up at flea markets, so on. They're going to be a little expensive, all old tools are, but this is going to be the most versatile vise that you can get, whether for forging or anything else. You can pick up a small, cheap bench vise for like 60, 70 bucks at Harbor Freight or Lowe's. This is actually a 200-year-old vise. It was my great-grandfather's. But this vise here, I believe I paid $70 or something for at Harbor Freight. Those work great. So, next thing, that brings me to hand tools. I've got multiple files. You're going to need files for shaping guards, shaping handles, so on. I bought these little cheap plastic things to fit on the end, so it's a little bit easier to work. I suggest you spend good money on some files. There's a lot of new old stock files out there on eBay. I would suggest looking for. If you're going to buy newer files, I suggest going with a American-made or a German-made company that have good sharp files that are going to last a bit longer. Make sure you take care of them. If you're going to be doing hidden tangs, I would suggest getting a file guide. I've seen other people cut their shoulders without a file guide. It takes forever, but it's doable. But a good file guide is going to cut down the amount of time, and it's going to give you a nice clean shoulder. Even shoulders, you can fit your guard up and not have to worry with it. This file guide I got from Uncle Al, this one from Bruce Bump. This Bruce Bump file is a good file. It's nice and small. The only issue is he has issues with the carbide bits popping out of them. He will take care of them. He's got great customer service. Uncle Al file guides work great as well. I've got a small one and this larger one. Great customer service as well. Another thing, if you're doing hidden tangs, another must is a micrometer. You can purchase these on Amazon, eBay, Lowe's, wherever. You're going to want to know what the thickness of your blade is. So when you start filing, drilling, you know what thickness you need to go to. So suggest picking up a good micrometer. So fitting guards, I've got this tool. People ask me what it is. It's hanging here all the time. All this is some 1/2-inch G10 that I've cut into strips, glued and pinned back here, so I've got an opening. When you're fitting your guards, you're going to want to get it close, but not to where it slides on. You take this, you tap it down, and you'll work that guard on there. This is going to press fit your guard. Give you a nice tight fit. Then you tap it off, you clean up the burrs, so that way you have no gaps. I've seen people press fit their guards using a vise. I've seen people using a piece of wood. I would not suggest that for this reason. One, you're going to stick it in the vise. If you don't tighten it up tight enough, that blade's going to go up and down. It's going to move. If you do tighten up, you chance messing up your blade. I've seen with the wood, I've seen people tap into wood. You're chancing bending your tip, breaking your tip, scratching it up. I use a thick book, phone book, tool books. You can get these things for free anywhere. You tap it in, it gets stuck in there, you pull it right out. There's no chance of messing up your blade at all. It works great. Okay, over here, I showed you my hand sanding station. This is just 2x4 that I've tapered out. Put a piece of leather on. I can clamp my blade down right here. I can hand sand and have enough room that my blade's not hanging off. It's well supported. I don't have a chance of stabbing myself. I can move it to one side, flip it over, move it to this other side. Works great. I just use a small pressure clamp right there to hold it on. This one is for when everything's said and done. I've got my handle on there. I just want to do a final cleanup of that blade. I'm able to stick it in here. I've got a small section cut out to accommodate for the guard and the handle. I can clamp it right here, have the blade clean everything up. This is a Moran, I believe it's called Moran vise. I use this for shaping handles. I'm able to stick the blade in, tighten it up, work my handle. I can turn it, I can lift it. You stick the blade in like this, work it that way. It's a good all-around vise. I wouldn't suggest it for hand sanding simply because you got to stick your handle in here. You got the blade hanging out. Chance stabbing yourself. Tools for hand sanding. This tool here is simply a bar. I think it's 3/8 by 1 inch bar of 1018 that I surface ground. I'm able to stick my paper on there, keep my hands out here, and sand. It gives you a good hard surface. It's going to give you clean, flat lines. I then move up to this, which is basically a cutting board. It's a hard backing with some poundo board. You get it at the leather shops. It gives you a hard surface, but it's got just enough give to start cleaning up your secondary bevel and blending it into your primary. From there, I move to this, which is, again, cutting board. I cut up with a piece of neoprene. It's a harder neoprene. This will allow you to start blending that secondary edge a little bit better and cleaning up some of those deeper scratches. My final is, again, 1/2 inch or 3/8 inch by 1 inch bar with some leather to it. This is what I do my final cleanup with. Get my high grit, whether it be 800 or so. I just move everything and it floats over and blends all your scratches together nice and neat. For my plunges, I've got this and I've got this. This one I use for squared off plunges. It allows you to get right up against that plunge line, sand. This one is for more of a rounded plunge where it allows you to kind of flow with that plunge. It works great. See a lot of people using the sheet paper, this Rhino Wet and 3M and stuff. I use that, but I only use it for high grits, 1000 to 2000 grit. All my hand sanding paper are these rolls. It's either 3M Gold, Merca Gold. You can buy it on Amazon. A huge roll for about $50. This, I believe, is more efficient and a better value than the sheets because you're able to use it in more efficiently. So basically, you just tear off a sheet, do a nice clean tear, and you could take this and wrap it around this sanding bar. It's got a sticky back on it, allows you to stick that paper there, and you're able to sand out here. Keep your hand away from that blade, not risk getting cut. Whereas the paper, you got to fold it, you got to hold it here. Your hands are right up next to the blade. Scary. Also, what's nice about it is since it's got the back sticky, once you use this area, pull it off, slide it down, stick it, and it's stuck there. You're able to use a lot more of this sandpaper than you are of that sheet, because the sheet you're going to have to wrap around and you're going to have to hold it on top here. So it's a lot more efficient. Broaching tools, I've got two. Again, I got a nice bruise bump broaching tool, and I've got this, which I found to be actually more efficient than most broaches out there. These broaching tools are great. You're able to clean up. This is simply two sawzall blades that I taped together, ground down to a thin and tack welded together. This works a whole lot better than most broaches. It will take off material quickly, take it off nice and square, and it costs next to nothing. Okay, so I believe we've covered most of the stuff today that we can. Like I said, we'll go a little more in depth on each of the subjects, such as hammers or tongs, so on. Let me know what it is you might want to learn more about, either in the comments section or email me at gahagnknives@yahoo.com. Reach out and I'll answer any question I can. Thank you for watching my videos, and you all have a great day.